Kanye West, he's no longer a billionaire.
Boy, I'll tell you what, man. You know, when he did the White Lives Matter, I was like, all right, that's not great, but he'll survive that. When he went after the Jews, I was like, well, now you done fucked up. Now you done fucked up because, you know, homeboy at WME came after him. It was like any business that works with him, that works with us, and you continue to work with Kanye, we're dropping you from our agency.
Who said that?
I think it was the CAA.
No, it's WME.
Oh, so CAA dropped him as well.
Oh, no, CAA was his agency, but WME,
okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Well, Ari
Emanuel
is Jewish.
Yes.
And many of the people that work there are the people that run
these. Just for the listeners,
Jewish.
how powerful is Ari Emanuel?
Yeah.
So you've seen Entourage, right? Jeremy Piven's character is based off Ari Emanuel.
Yeah.
So
Ari Emanuel owns
Hollywood.
William Morris Endeavor, which means he owns the UFC as well.
And many more things, and they work with the biggest people in the world. Yeah. So when he puts out a email blast, I don't know if you know.
You know what he put out? A fatwa, which is what they put out on Salman Rushdie, what the Ayatollah put out on Salman. It's like if you do business with this guy,
then if you're a friend of his, not a friend of mine.
Who's saying things like Juminati, Jewish media,
not good,
and all that.
Not good.
And saying I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Let me explain what that means. What you're saying is that you're going to use military might. So DEFCON 3 is when your Air Force is ready to launch missiles. You're 5 minutes out or something.
It's on.
Okay, that's a term of war. If you're Jewish, and by the way, Kanye's got not only a huge following, but a lot of people that echo that sentiment. So when you say, I'm about to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, I'm sorry, but there are a couple things to keep in mind. Historically, that doesn't work out for the Jews. Historically, that's how you whip up a mob and they kill the Jews.
Well, that's why.
And you are threatening the Jews with violence. When you say that, you're threatening. If you're Jewish, if you're a Jewish person, you're going to go, well, that's one of the most popular artists in the world calling for violence against Jewish people.
Who has a huge following.
You can say whatever you want, but that is what you're doing.
Now, explain why the Jews don't play that game. There's a history of this, right?
If they don't,
anti-Semitic,
if they don't raise the flags here, if they don't say something,
what happened in the past?
They get killed.
Oh, you're talking about World War II?
At best, they get kicked. In Russia, the Russian Pale, World War II, they were the original refugees. The Old Testament is how they escaped from Egypt. The story of the Jewish diaspora is that story. So you just got to understand that first of all, the Jews are a true minority. They make up 0.01% of the fucking world population.
That's the thing. That's a major point, though, B. They're such a small minority. They have to stick up for themselves. And when they stick up for themselves, they're very powerful. So when you go for them, dude, when he did that, I went, oh, it's game over.
Because it's a matter for the Jews.
Life or death.
It's a matter of life and death. Let me just go on a little bit of a rant, not too much, because I don't want to do this. Not too much. But if you guys like comedy, do you like improv? Do you like Hollywood? Do you like fashion in this country? And do you like stand-up comedy? The Borscht Belt.
You said stand-up comedy.
The Borscht Belt, improv. The Borscht Belt, which was in the Catskills. All those comics, like that people watched, all those shows and stuff. Those kids were Jews. They came from they would put all the musicals, all the great writers. Sondheim, who wrote I don't know, Les Miserables. I mean, Broadway and Hollywood. I'm telling you, Broadway and Hollywood, and the art of improv, and stand-up comedy in this country. I'm not saying the British didn't have an amazing impact on comedy.
Big impact.
But those were Jewish expressions. The Garmentos, the people that came to this country and started fashion, like Ralph Lauren was Ralph Lifshitz. Calvin Klein, Jewish. They came to this country. The people that came for this country who created Hollywood, you know Hollywood, you guys like movies? They were Eastern European refugees. They didn't come from money. They lived in the Lower East Side. They lived in poverty. And that is a fucking historical fact. The garment business, the garment industry, the fashion industry in this country started by Jews. They didn't have money. The only thing they had, in Europe, they weren't allowed to be in banking and things. They could be tailors and seamstresses. So they came to this country with a skill set, which was they could sew.
Fashion, yep.
But think about what was created in Hollywood. The improv Second City was founded by the children of Russian and Eastern Europe Jewish refugees. So if you like Saturday Night Live, if you like Mad TV, if you like any sketch shows, if you like stand-up comedy,
Your favorite comedy show.
yes,
Your favorite comedy movie.
yes, those were
Judd
Jewish
Apatow,
expressions. Yes, Judd Apatow. So I'm
Adam
sorry. I'm
Sandler.
sorry that this tiny minority is that fucking good at inventing shit that all of us use.
But that's why they're so hated too, right? Because they're everyone hates a
Do you
winner.
use Google? And that algorithm was created by Jews. Do you use Facebook? Created by Jews. I mean, so I'm sorry that they're that good. If you have a problem with Jews, that's fine. But go look at what they've invented, like virtual reality. Do you like virtual
educate
reality?
yourself before you hate them, because most likely you're using their products and you're benefiting off their products and their entertainment.
Yes.
Most of the shows you're watching was created by a Jew. The writers are probably Jewish. All the things that you do
Yes.
on a daily basis is probably influenced
Yes.
by the Jews.
Yes. And so they were always the ones on the outside looking in. During the civil rights movement,
that's where
let me
the
give you
comedy
one
comes
more
from,
stat.
right?
During the civil rights movement, the people that marched for blacks in this country, half the white volunteers, half of them were Jewish.
And why is that? Because they know what the road that goes down.
When you're on when you've always been on the forefront of social change, people are going to fucking hate you. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it.
When Kanye did that, now
He's got to educate himself.
And well, yeah, yes, and no. I think he's always been like this. TMZ said, when he was talking about black people, they need to take ownership of slavery. What he was saying about slavery, remember that? That to edit most of that out. His real stance was he's a fan of Hitler. Do you know this?
I just can't believe he would say that.
Mm-hmm.
TMZ started by a Jew.
Yes.
I mean, we can just keep going.
Yeah, because because you guys remember the infamous interview, and when he's like, they need to figure out. So that gentleman on the left, see the gentleman on the left, Van Lathan, he left TMZ, but he was the main one to speak out and walk out of the room when Kanye was saying how basically slavery was black people's fault and blah blah blah. So they in that interview, TMZ was like, we got to do Kanye a solid here. They had to edit it out because he said he was a fan of Hitler. Now, that's according to this Van guy, which I don't believe he has any reason to lie. Now, what's happening, too, is Adidas dropped them. Now, Adidas, they make the majority of their money off of the Yeezy brand.
Oh, wow.
They
do?
It's a huge hit to them. But they're like, we can't engage in this. So Balenciaga dropped them, right?
Wow.
Adidas dropped them. They say he's no longer a billionaire anymore. That's how much he's losing in assets right now. He's no longer.
Is he losing his mind because he can't see his kids? Is that what's going on? Is he trying to self-destruct here?
It has nothing to do with kids.
You think it has to do with?
That.
Is he trying to break contracts? He's trying to get out of contracts he had.
No, because he's just royally fucking himself. Like there's no way, because he's smart. One thing you can't say about Kanye, you can't say he's stupid.
Smart.
So, it's weird. We gotta be careful here, because when you go, oh, it's just a manic phase. He's on one of those manic episodes.
Is there a method to this?
But then there's also but he's a genius. All right, well, which one is he? You pick. Because he can't, when he does something bad, he can't just be, he's having one of his episodes. Then when he does something great, he's a genius. I don't think it's that. I truly believe he has those ideologies and those ideas.
Well, keep this in mind, too.
Which is a problem.
Keep this in
mind.
And
there's a lot of, it is what it is. It's not my belief, and I don't subscribe to this in any fucking facet. I have some of my best friends are Jewish. There's some black people in the spotlight who also have the same beliefs when it comes to Jews, that blacks were the first Jews and stuff like that.
Because Moses' second wife was from Ethiopia.
But they're not loud about it. But there's, again, I'm not gonna bring attention to it, but there's some very high profile people that are black who believe the same things, and it's in.
I was about to say to you that a lot of people echo his sentiment all over the world. Don't kid yourself. Kanye gets a lot of support for when he says stuff like that.
Well, Andrew Schultz and the Flagrant Boys, a shout out to Andrew, they talked about Kanye, and Andrew went hard on him and stuff like that, and he was talking about the George Floyd stuff and blah, blah, blah. And Andrew's like, I can't believe the comments. Like, there was a lot of support for Kanye in the comments because, I have friends who love Kanye.
Well, my thing with the Black Lives Matter.
I've worn my Yeezys since the White Lives Matter thing. I was like, all right, I'm still going to wear Yeezys. That was weird. And I do like Candace Owens, but still, I'm still going to wear my Yeezys. Then we did the anti-Jew thing. I'm like, I can't wear Yeezys. Some of my best friends are Jewish, dude.
Yeah.
A lot of people that are responsible for the success of my career and the decision makings and contracts and getting me certain things are Jewish.
Yeah.
And they're great people.
Yeah.
So when you do that, I'm like, well, now I'm out, dude. Now I'm
it's
out.
just not helpful, man. It just
There's no
sucks.
upside. What's your point?
If you were to say this, if you were to say, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on
whites?
on the Zionist movement in Israel, or you were to say, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on the Likud party in Israel, if you were really specific and you're like the conservative hawks, I don't know, it'd be one thing because you'd have doves that would come, in Israel that would come to your defense. But when you say I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, the entire group of people, Michael Rappaport said something interesting. He posted a picture of Drake and said, how come this Jewish man has been so quiet? Because Drake's mother's Jewish.
Well, hold on. Now what's interesting is in that same rant that Kanye had that got him in all this trouble, he, on the Drinking Bros podcast, I think, which is a huge platform in hip hop, huge show, great show. But Kanye goes, the best rapper to ever do it's Drake. Now, Drake is Jewish. Drake is half Jewish, man.
Yes, he is.
His religious
mother
beliefs
is Jewish.
And he's Jewish.
Yeah.
So you say the greatest rapper, Jewish, right?
Raised Jewish.
But then you go on this
Raised Jewish in Canada, I believe, right? Is he from Canada?
Toronto.
Yeah. So Drake is Drake's not a ghetto. Like he did that. His culture is educated Jewish.
Drake grew up in entertainment. He was on a TV show.
So
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but why has he been so quiet? That's a weird place for him to be.
I don't know if you want to touch that water. Like P. Diddy came to the defense of Kanye, and Kanye just posts his text. Like, you ever fucking come for me about talking shit to P. Diddy? And P. Diddy was like, I think what he's saying, he gets misconstrued. Like, he was literally trying to defend him. And then Kanye posts his text and was like, fuck you. Don't ever bring my name up. You'll see what happens. And P. Diddy's like, dude, I was on your side.
Oof.
But it'd be tough to defend him. It'd be like if a comic did this, even if it's a good friend. I'm not going to add fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to defend it. If you did something like that, I can't be so. I don't want any part of that. A, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And you need to apologize, which he's not doing, right?
Right.
And then C, it's like I'm not going to throw more fuel on the fire, but I'm sure as fuck not sticking out for you. I'm probably going to do the Drake and she's like, he knows I don't need to say anything. What do you want me to say?
What happens to Kanye a year from now? He's back?
Now, Spotify did say they don't agree with anything he says. It's horrible, but they're not pulling his music.
Right.
But the rest of it, like he had this big documentary coming out, Jews producing that, pulled that, CIA pulled that. You have, it's gonna get dicey, man. Now he's gonna be fine, right? Money wise, he's fine, but it's ultimately, man, did you fuck up, dude? Man, did you mess up? What were you thinking?